Hello, I'm Andrew Hara, the host of the Bomb Squad. I wanted to tell you about my movies. All are available on Tubi, which is a free streaming service. The last one is a zombie drama about how a pandemic and isolation could drive a group of people mad. When the virus hits, John finds himself alone and scared until he meets Michael, his protector. But when Karina, another survivor, enters the mix, everything that John and Michael knew will be turned on its head. The last one's is a zombie virus movie that's somehow even more relevant today. Plus, it has zombies. Check it out. Borderland is a mexploitation film about living in El Paso. When Sarah finds herself in debt to the cartels, she has until sunrise to find some missing monies with the help of her executioner. Borderland is a true midnight movie and a lot of fun. Finally, the documentary Humble Spirits tells the story of the Hahn family, including champion Jennifer Hahn from El Paso, Texas. The entire Hahn family has grown up in the combat sports and has helped shape who they are both in and out of the ring. Humble Spirits, a family of fighters, is the perfect documentary for boxing fans of all ages. Check out Tubi to watch all my films. Finally, The Empty Space, winner of multiple awards, including the Sacramento Horror Film Festival's Best of the Fest, is a cosmic horror about Amy Andrews, who's dealing with anxiety and depression after a violent attack that killed her husband. As she tries to find herself, she starts to lose her grasp on reality. Or could it be something much more sinister? The Empty Space is full of twists and turns, with Grace DeWilder of Rue Morgue magazine calling it a powerful film full of excellent performances by practically every cast member. All of Andrew Hada's movies are available to rent or buy on streaming services such as Tubi, Amazon, and many other places. We hope that you help support us by watching these films. Now, let's start the Bomb Squad. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Bomb Squad, or should I call us this time the Chappie Trap House? That's
Oh,
that is a hint as to what movie we're covering, and by hint, I mean I just told you what the title was and added other words.
right.
Welcome. My name's Andrew. Welcome to all our new fans. Thanks for joining us. There's like 1,000 more. There's 2,000 more of you. So cool. Welcome
Yeah.
here.
Welcome. Yeah. Thank you for
We
finding us.
yeah, thank you for finding us. We don't do that top 10 list every time, so have fun, I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah, my name's Andrew Hara. I'm a filmmaker. As you could see, those movies that were above, if you have Tubi, go watch it. Some of you are all over the world, so who knows if you have Tubi. If you're in a different part of the world and you have Tubi, let us know in the comments. And also, if you can find my movie, just type in Andrew Hara in whatever free streaming service you guys have. Like if you have a Tubi, and then let me know if I'm in the I should be there. Who knows? Anyway, welcome to the Bomb Squad, where we talk about movies that are underappreciated and overly hated. And you know
Yes.
what? This movie, we might have hit a double feature with one movie that is both overly hated, underappreciated, and maybe a little bit over. I don't know.
Almost
I
there you
lost my
were.
train
Got
of
it.
thought. I was
Boom.
the
Bomb
intros.
squad.
Intros are hard. The 2000. We're off to a good start. New subscribers. Um,
Yeah. This is what it's like every time.
Overrated is the word I was looking for, which does like the
Yeah.
joke doesn't land now that it's been 10 minutes. But anyway,
Yeah.
today it was a whose pick was this? Oh, it was this isn't a pick. We've just always wanted to cover this movie, and since we hit 200 subscribers, we're like, let's cover Chappie. And what you'll find out at the end of this episode is we're covering an even bigger movie that we said when we were going to cover when we got 1,000 subscribers, and now we got 2,000 subscribers.
Oh,
So
yeah.
if you look at this title sequence, it's just going to look like a normal title sequence because next episode we're going to have a very special title with the very special movie that we're going to add, and it's going to be super cool and it's great. But today we're also doing a movie that is interesting to say the least. We're doing 2015's Chappie, directed by Neil Blomkamp, starring Charlo Copley as the titular
Charlton.
Chappie,
You're already messing
starring
it up.
This is also always how it goes.
starring starring karate expert Dave Patel, which I didn't know he knew
Dev.
karate. Nobody knew he knew
Dave.
karate.
Hug Jackman.
Hugger
before
Jacker,
he did before he did his directorial debut, Monkey Man, which is coming out this year, maybe? I don't know. It's coming out soon.
Oh yeah, that
Hugh
is
Jackman,
strange.
Sigourney Weaver, and that's it. There's other people, but oh yeah, I forgot.
Literally the protagonists of the film.
This movie stars Ninja.
Yeah.
And
Yolandi.
Yolandi. Who are these? What is the name of their band?
Die Antwoord.
Die Antwoord, yeah.
Die Antwoord, yeah. This is okay. We'll talk about it once we get to it. That I forgot that that's a big plot point to this movie we just saw. Also, I'm wearing a NFT shirt. I feel like it's appropriate because that's what Ninja would wear.
Yeah, he would have been totally into NFTs, 100%.
100%.
I mean, he's
but anyway,
still alive. You could check, but why would you?
Also, from what I know, Die Antwoord are not the best people, so why would they
do seem
I read some conflicting reports.
We've
on
read
their
some not some cool things. Yeah. William, tell us what this movie pertains.
Okay, so
but you
it's
have
kind of
to
a complicated
do it in
plot.
a South African accent.
Okay, it starts off with
please don't.
Some police robots.
Please stop doing that.
It's okay. So it's about Dev Patel, not Dave. He is an AI scientist, and he's created this robot force for this company in South Africa in Johannesburg that Sigourney Weaver is the leader of. And these robot policemen are invincible. They're super badass, and they're really good at being cops. Whatever your stance is on cops, take that for whatever you will. And then Hugh Jackman also is making a police robot, but his is a big old tank, and it's scary, and no one really likes it that much. So on the side, Dev Patel is also working on an AI program, and he finally gets it to work. He thinks that he has made consciousness in his computer, but he needs a test subject. So he finds a broken robot, and he uploads the consciousness into it, and voila, we have a sentient robot who now has the mind of an albeit very smart child, but still a child nonetheless. Very impressionable. And then on the other side of the tracks, we have Die Antwoord, and they are in trouble with some criminals, and they need to make a whole lot of money really fast. So they get the bright idea to find the robot maker man, who probably has a remote to turn off robots. And so they go to Dev Patel's house to find his robot remote, and they find Dev Patel and also Chappie, who they end up kidnapping and start trying to make Chappie do crimes for them. But he's a child who just wants love, so he has a lot of conflicts with violence. And
William, we're also going to talk about this movie.
I know, but that's the plot.
It is
you're breaking down so much of it. Yeah,
it's the first half of it is essentially that.
Yeah.
And then
there's a lot of setup. There's kind of a lot of there's a lot of plot.
It's weird.
And in William's
there's a
defense,
lot of plot, and there's not a lot of plot.
Everything that William said before they turned Chappie on, all the cop stuff, the Hugh Jackman stuff, that's literally 2 minutes at the beginning of the movie. There's so much more.
It's bop, 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 bop.
It's and I almost I like this movie a lot, but I think that's almost funny how much lore, and how good kind of Neil Blomkamp is at just giving kind of exposition dumping on you without you really being annoyed of it, because it moves fast. It's oh, by the way, we have cops. Hugh Jackman has his own cops. He doesn't like them. He wants new cops. Oh, and then also Dev Patel is the lead programmer. Oh, he figured out the consciousness thing. Oh, this one accidentally got hurt, so it has half a battery. It's Jesus, it's only been 30 seconds, Neil.
Right.
With all that setup, though, the majority of the movie is just kind of fucking around, which is why it's a good movie.
Yeah.
There is a lot of just, let's just hang out and have a good time with Chappie, because he's lovable. Yeah. And he is. He's super lovable. So
much with Yolandi and Chappie is the main heart of the story.
Right.
Yeah. It's kind of what's going on. Because she loves him.
It is funny.
Anyways, we'll go into that later.
Chappie doesn't even get into the movie for quite a while. They take their time introducing this character. And it's also they really introduce, it's kind of weird because this is one of those movies where you don't realize it. I didn't realize it until this time, but there's not really a protagonist. There's a bunch of them because you have, like William was saying, you have Dev Patel, you have Dyatwood, and you have Chappie, and you'd think that they're gonna mesh a lot more than they really do. But it kind of feels like the only reason they mesh is because they all live kind of in the same place and kind of know each other. But their stories don't really mesh in any way. Like they don't like, you know how like uh, in RoboCop, which we're gonna reference RoboCop a lot. The bad guy Terrence Bodiger is working with Dick Jones in like, and so there's kind of that connection. In this one, it just happens that they're criminals and they're cops, so eventually they're gonna meet up. But there's no real reason for it to happen, you know.
I would say like with this movie, like there's a lot of plot going on, and there's a lot of like crime stuff. And the script, I mean, honestly, like it makes sense that like not a lot of people like this movie. I think because I think that it really depends on if you find Chappie to be sympathetic or if you find him to be annoying.
Right.
And if you think he's annoying, then this whole movie is not going to work because it really hinges on the fact that you believe that this robot is like a little kid in a robot body,
and like
voiced by
you're
a man.
You're charmed by him, like kind of trying to hang out with these like thugs and like act like them,
right?
Because that is like essentially kind of a wouldn't it be cool if premise, and I think it is.
Yeah,
you know?
I do too. I really feel bad for Chappie. Like this, there's a lot of scenes where he goes through like some like fucked up shit, and it's like really heartbreaking. Like it's like I don't know, for some reason it being like this like semi cute robot police cop thing getting its like ass kicked by some strangers, which happens in a scene whenever Diane Ward's trying to like toughen Chappie up. He's like crying, and it's like you feel so bad for this like little guy, even though he's like this big hulking monster. And if you buy into him being sympathetic, this movie will be badass for you. But if you don't, then stop watching immediately.
Yeah,
right.
You know,
and
what
I think like
oh, go ahead.
One of the things about this movie is just like how, and it's not just this movie, it's Neil Blomkamp in general. He makes his worlds feel real, you know, like we're in South Africa, and so you can almost tell like the look of the Chappies, you can tell that this is like, you know, you have your iPhone up here and then you have like the Mexican version of the iPhone, you know, down here, that it's like, oh, the cricket is down here, and you can tell that these like South African slumlord cop robots are like the cricket version, because like you can see where someone had really thought of the design of like giving them a face, making them like kind of skinny so that they don't look too intimidating. But then once you get to these ones, they're just metal. Like they look so rough to touch, you know? And I think like that kind of level of thinking is just like, that's from someone who really thought about what these robots would look like in South Africa after they've been, you know, used for a while, and like they're clearly not top of the line.
Yeah,
and so I just think it's fun, you know. Yeah.
Like it's very well, and it's also like it's almost funny because in a way it almost like, you know, like District 9 was his like huge landmark film, and it like District 9 is so
Elysium.
Oh, I actually still haven't seen Elysium, but
it's okay. It's fine.
but like District 9 is a great movie, and it's also so overtly like a metaphor for apartheid, you know, like it's like that. Whereas a Chappie, it's like, oh yeah, here's these like brutally repressive like police robots and this and this, and it's like, oh, is this whole movie going to be about like police like brutality and stuff? It's like not really. It almost like takes for granted that you like accept that, like that, you know, you understand that. And it's just like, no, but what if this happens like in this like universe? It's more like now logically, if this robot did gain consciousness like and then like was raised by gangsters, what would the next steps be? And it's almost like interesting where he's like, no, I'm crafting this role, but I'm not like telling you, this isn't like a big like, oh, now here's like society. It's like, oh the society stuff's there, but
it's not about cops.
Let's have fun. And this is going to be like a music video version of a movie, you know?
And that is... Oh, go ahead, William.
I was going to say, it's just like, it's not a cop movie. It's just a movie that the robot happened to have been a cop. And it kind of gives him a reason to be like a little bit more badass and like a little bit more able to fight whenever D. Antwoord wants him to be like a criminal. So like it kind of like helps his development with the gangsters. But yeah, it's not really about like police brutality or anything like that. That also wasn't like, I mean, that's always been a hot topic, but like not to how it is now. Like that was like 8 years ago. It wasn't like really what the main conversation was publicly. But I think if it came out now, it would probably be a much bigger part of it.
There's definitely parts of it at the end once Hugh Jackman, and we'll talk about it a little later, that kind of, but it sticks more towards like, you see more
Human
references to the
development.
war on terror than necessarily cop brutality. And I
Yeah.
think that's kind of this movie was made in 2015, and I think that's kind of telling at the time because 2015, we're still in Afghanistan. We're kind of seeing these images, but like the real, like the Fergusons and those kind of things hadn't happened yet. So we knew the police were bad. We just
Yeah.
didn't know the extent that they could get away with. And so I think like
Right.
at the time you see this kind of war on terror. Like by 2015, we understood that there was no like there was no reason for us to still be in Afghanistan or really to go there in the first place. And we're still there. And so it's this kind of like, if you look at the hierarchy of power, you do see a little bit of it in America, and definitely Hugh Jackman. And the fact that Hugh Jackman's playing like the most American guy ever is probably pretty telling, but it's not the main crux of the story. And it's kind of weird how little Hugh Jackman, being the biggest star, is in this
Him
film.
and Sigourney Weaver is in like 3 scenes. It's like, oh, they must have done all her shooting in a day, just like a
Well, and
fun
Yeah,
thing.
I think that there's kind of like a lot of like underdeveloped stuff in this movie for sure. Like exactly what you guys just mentioned. I feel like because like Diane, where they have to get money to a criminal like in a couple of days,
like $20 million.
Yeah, and so
it's
Ninja's
like
like, fuck yeah, let's
ridiculous.
make him bad. Let's get him on our side and make him a fucking criminal just like us. And Yolandi's like, no, he's just a kid. And it's like, but it's like, dude, you're gonna die. So it's like Yolandi's character like didn't really make any sense.
Well, let's be honest.
Her motivations don't, anyways.
The whole setup that they need to pay this criminal money, and at no point are you like, oh, they're not just going to kill him at the end, because of course they're just going to kill him because he's going to try to kill him and betray. Like it's like one of those like, even as
typical
they're setting
crime.
it up in the first 10 minutes, you're like, all right, they're just going to end up with in a shootout with this guy. It's very like.
Well, and I want to point out that so you have Dev Patel. He plays the developer. Chartel Copley plays Chappie. Hugh Jackman and Sigourney Weaver, they work for the company. And then you have Diane Wood, who's playing like the gangsters kind of. And then there's like just a Mexican dude.
Named America. With a K.
With a K. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of like
he's just like their friends.
Jose Pablo Cantillo. And let me tell you guys, and like if you're thinking like, oh, there's no way he looks like a homie style cholo. Well, let me guarantee you guys, he looks like the fucking homiest style cholo you've ever seen in your life.
He costs $1.25.
He doesn't have this. He just has the handlebar mustache. I was like, oh my god, this is my favorite character ever.
There's no explanation
but it's just so
for any of it.
Well, and it's such a weird world because you have the Mexican in South Africa, and it's like, I know that we cross borders, guys, but
it's a long one.
That's a long one.
Yeah.
We have to pack a lot of tamales. But then you have there's like a scene at the beginning where Hugh Jackman wants to take over the Chappies because he wants to test his system against them. And so he goes up to Dev Patel. He's like, hey, can I get the key to test it? And the thing that, like, the big selling point of these robots is only one person has a key so that nobody can change the system. It's only this one person. And that's Dev Patel. And so Dev Patel's like, no, you can't have the key. Of course not. And again, this is at the beginning of the movie. So Hugh Jackman slams him on the desk. And Hugh Jackman is another developer. He's not like security.
Right.
He's
an engineer.
He pulls out his gun and points it at his head, and he's like, are you going to give it to me? And then Dev Patel's like, no. And so he pulls the trigger. It's just empty. And he's like, oh.
I'm just kidding, man.
You're weak, man. And it's like, human resources not going to get involved in this situation?
Dude, no one says shit to him. He just totally gets away with it. Pulling his fucking firearm out in the office.
Can I say, too, and if you haven't seen this one, I mean, just watch it. It's great. But Hugh Jackman, the way he looks, I know you said they made him Americanized, and maybe this is because I think he's supposed to just be Australian or maybe South American.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah,
I know he's just as Australian, and I can't tell the difference in accents. But he's wearing like khaki shorts, like short shorts the whole movie.
Yes.
A polo.
And a polo.
A very prominent crucifix. And he has a mullet. And it's like, oh, he's supposed to be like an evangelical asshole. And he even like invites Dev Patel to church or something. Or like, the whole office
anytime you want to come.
And it's like, and he does come across to me as an American stereotype, but maybe the loud evangelical asshole is also an Australian thing that like
that is true.
It could be. I think there's a lot of similarities that way.
Yeah. But okay, so you have these like wild characters, and then it's just kind of like, it's like it feels kind of almost like a baby plot that's taken so seriously that you get this kind of weird mix of stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Um and like I don't they keep teaching him the wrong lessons, which is pretty funny. So they're like
Yeah.
trying like Chappie's essentially like a child, so he's trying to gain information. And the first
Mhm.
thing he sees is He-Man. I was just like, that's pretty cool. Which is
Oh, I didn't know
Cringer.
that's
He's
where
over
Cringer
here.
came from.
Yeah,
I
there's
saw that and
the
I was like,
He-Man and
oh.
Cringer.
Yeah,
I was like,
Cringer's
why are you fucking naming your dog Cringer? But
Cringer's the name
that
of
makes a lot more
He-Man's
sense now.
cat.
I thought you just
So
liked cringe. I don't know.
no, and that's what everyone thinks. You know how mad that makes me?
Well, I mean, it's pretty obscure.
I know. But so Cringer, so he sees that, and so the guys like at first they try to teach him how to use a gun, but he can't kill. Like it's in his programming. So
Mhm.
then they're
Right.
like,
It's not in his programming. Dev Patel makes him promise to be
oh
good.
yes,
And
Because
that's right.
he's like a
actually,
very
like,
impressionable kid.
believes
Yeah.
in like promises and stuff like that.
Right,
Mhm.
right, right.
Right. He has
And
not lost his
so-
innocence at all. He's a very innocent, like undeveloped, but like
Right.
he's a smart robot, so he's like a really smart
Right.
baby.
And
Who's
that's
like
how
who's learning everything for the first time.
and that's how the gang is able to kind of like what they do is they teach them that you can you put someone to sleep when they're killing them, and then you can like throw a knife at their chest and then they'll go to sleep. And he also like
yeah.
teases or he treats them like, oh, that's my car over there. Go get it back because that guy stole my car. And Chappie's just like stealing cars.
Yeah.
And so they keep teaching him the wrong lesson. And it makes for like, I think like another reason people might not like this movie is just because it's like he doesn't, it like takes a while for him to learn the right lessons because like they keep, every lesson they teach him is worse than the one before it.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're clearly like putting him down a dark path.
Right.
But
Dev Patel's trying to save him.
But it is like it's almost like, you know how like in RoboCop, I think it's only like 15 minutes, but it's like just right when he rolls out, it's just him solving various crimes.
Mm-hmm.
I could watch Chappie committing various crimes for like
an
hour.
Totally.
Like it's just because it's just such like a fun like situation for him to be in.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Well, and so so they keep kind of doing this like the fun and game section of the script is like half the movie, which usually it's
right.
not. And so I think like one of the things that I liked about this, okay, it's been 20 minutes, guys. You should go watch Chappie because I'm about to spoil Chappie. Because I can't really talk about why I like Chappie so much without kind of spoiling it. So we're just
and it's like not really much of a movie to spoil either.
Right.
Yeah,
it's like the meat is like him learning to be. The meat is like everyone trying to get him to be who they want him to be.
Yeah.
And it's like this kind of like express train of like childhood development in like an unstable situation.
Right. Well, and so so the reason I like this movie so much is because Neil Blomkamp, he had made District 9 and it blew up. Like it got nominated for an Oscar. It was like the hugest movie of that year, and it had been made for like nothing. Then he made Elysium, which was kind of like District 9 but dumber, and so it didn't do very well in the box office. Like it kind of like he hit that sophomore slump where there was like questioning whether he could whether did he have it or was that just like a one-hit wonder.
Right. Elysium was like everyone was so ready for that movie. That was like top of everyone's must-see list. Like damn.
And it had Matt Damon. Yeah, everyone was very excited. And so he has this idea for Chappie. And it's a fucking home run idea. Because it's like the easiest thing in the world. Like, it's about a robot who they're trying to teach him how to be a human, and he learns how to be a human. They even set up the device that's going to teach him how to be a human, because when they give him consciousness, they're giving it to a broken robot, and the reason it's broken is because its battery is welded in, and so when it dies, they can't replace it. Yeah. And so he has 5 days to do it. In a normal movie, Chappie would learn that like part of being alive is also dying. And so he would like save his friends and then die. Blomkamp does not.
Oh yeah.
No. He does not go in that direction.
He does not learn that lesson. Yeah,
he does not learn that lesson. No. What Chappie learns is that the human body is weak and needs to be replaced with circuitry and metal.
Yeah,
and so
this is about transcendence, man.
He replaces. Dev Patel gets shot and he's died, and so he replaces his consciousness into another robot, and then he replaces the girl's consciousness as well because she also gets shot, and they just live for. And like he's like, oh yeah, now we get to live forever.
Yeah, well, and that's like
Yeah.
it's almost like funny because
it is very funny. That's
yeah.
what it's amazing.
It's the opposite of AI.
Yeah. Like the beginning of this movie, it has like the faux documentary thing that District 9 does, where it's like Anderson Cooper's even and talking about, oh, and then Chappie changed the world, and then it's like 18 months ago. You know, and it's just like that's when the movie starts. The rest of the movie does not do any of that like documentary stuff, and it almost feels like Blomkamp being like, oh man, people are going to be expecting a message after District 9. Let me just like throw in that the singularity would be really cool, actually.
It makes you like wonder because like this is the second time I've seen. I saw it in theaters, but Chappie's been like it did so bad that they didn't there hasn't been a good release for it. Like it's never really on streaming. And like you have to rent it. It's just very hard to find it. It's not even really on TV because my parents like have cable and I check sometimes. It's never there. So like it's been hard to find Chappie. And so like I don't know. It's such an interesting because the whole time, like I was saying earlier, they're teaching him the wrong lessons. And what you don't realize is that Chappie is learning the biggest wrong lesson the whole time because he keeps talking about how he's indestructible and everyone keeps saying like, oh, but I'm not Chappie. I'm going to get hurt. And instead of learning like, oh, well, we have to do safe stuff to prevent each other from getting hurt, he learns, oh, you need to get out of that disgusting human weak body and you need to get into this Terminator body.
Get into one of these shells, baby.
And it's never like when Dev Patel wakes up, it's not like, oh no, the horror of like my real body dying. It's just like, cool, I'm a robot now. Let's like continue.
It's treated like Jake Sully when he becomes a fucking Avatar in Avatar. Where they're like, wow, and it's like, wait,
run fast.
See, and that almost like kind of goes with like how the movie has less of a plot and more like kind of a music video plot, where you're just like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if style, you know?
Right.
Like, and I do like love it for that, because there's no like scene where he meets another police robot and is like, what am I? Like none of that happens, you know?
There's
That's
also
true.
Also, I will say the only thing that I didn't like was that the Mexican guy, America, he's like the one who gets to know Chappie out of the guys. Like Ninja's a piece of shit until like pretty much the end, you know?
Yeah, like the very, very end.
Fucking America gets killed so terribly, and like
it
was like the Hugh Jackman gets there, he lands, and then like the guy's shooting at him, and he's like ho ho, and then he steps on him and cuts them in half, and then throws them on a wall. Like, Jesus Christ, that's your best friend, Chappie.
It's that is weirdly like brutal for like how little like because like Hugh Jackman doesn't even die in the movie because Chappie's so good.
Well, he learns that lesson.
He beats him nearly to death, but then stops, and it's like now you've learned your lesson, you know.
Yeah. I think it's to show that Chappie realizes that dying is bad.
Right.
He doesn't want to kill anyone. Yeah.
And I think like you have, but then I realized like watching it the second time because that death is pretty brutal. One of the things that I think that this movie was hinting at is like every time someone gets hit, it's real quick. You know, it's not like they don't take a long time like showing someone get murdered. The only time they do take a long time, he ends up not getting hit. And so I think it's like there is this kind of underlying vein of like how fragile life is, you know?
Yeah, totally.
And I think he almost uses it against you when he turned like he's like at the end of The Empty Space, there was an alternate ending where it said that sometimes the best way to get over grief is to become a space god and go into heaven.
Totally.
It was a very,
that
was a very Chappie ending.
It was a very Chappie ending. And I realized that probably wasn't the best story to tell. But Neil Blomkamp, he was like, no, I'm down for this.
But it's also like there's this, and like I said, I still haven't seen Elysium. Don't really know how it goes. I know it's like rich versus poor sci-fi. But I know that like originally instead of Matt Damon he wanted like Eminem to star in it and it just didn't work out. And this almost feels like him being like, no, I'm gonna do what I want and like put in these rappers that I like personally like. And it's like, oh, like are they likable? Like Kinda. Sometimes, not
Sorta.
really. You know, it's very like it's almost like bold to put in like these kind of characters that are this kind of repugnant. You know?
And it's
Yeah, well,
also
they go by
like,
their artist names. They go by
and
Ninja and
Yeah,
Yoli.
they're just
yeah,
like
and that's what I was gonna
versions
say.
of
Like,
themselves, yeah.
imagine if you're watching a movie and like 50 Cent shows up as 50 Cent
Right,
and
right.
then fights Michael Myers and then dies to Michael Myers. You'd be like,
As
what the
50 Cent.
fuck? Yeah. You know, it's like that's such a, and like not only that, but the whole time he's a huge dick, like not even in a funny way.
Right.
Yeah.
Like a
in
toxic, abusive way
yeah.
to this child. I
And
feel
it's
like they thought like this was gonna be like a music video for Diane Ward. The whole like they were
think
making
so.
a whole different movie than everybody else.
In a
was.
bit, in some cases, it is like when they're loading up for
Yeah.
the heist. It's like this is just a music video, guys. And
Yeah.
them just
Yeah.
putting on cool armor and like having
And their
Well, the
house is
funniest-
badass.
So like Hugh Jackman's robot is gonna kill Ninja, and then Yolandi comes out and shoots him, and it's like seriously treated like a fucking Madonna video, where she's like in slow motion, and then like her hair is like, and then it shoots like different angles. And I was like, what the fuck
Yeah.
are we
Yeah,
doing?
no, see, I
Right.
like that he's like because I think Blomkamp wanted it to be a music video for them too,
Yeah.
as much as that
Mhm.
almost goes
Yeah.
against like there's like like there's this the plot almost barely works because at one point Hugh Jackman, who figures out right away what's going on with Chappie, instead of telling
Yeah.
anyone else, he's like, I'm gonna sneak around and like
Yeah.
slowly like tweak this to my to my advantage.
Yeah.
So he like steals like the police robot master key and like turns off all the police robots. Doesn't really impact the plot that much. Like it kind of
Yeah.
happens.
300 homicides doesn't matter.
It's very like, oh, is this gonna affect like the heist that like Dean Antwoord's gonna do later? No, that's still scheduled. Don't worry.
Right.
Nothing changed there. You know.
Is Dev
And
Patel
then-
in trouble because they're his robot force?
It's like
Not
no,
really.
No, he's
He's
just
mostly okay.
They
Sigourney
yell
Weaver
at
just
him at
gets
work a
ticked off.
little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Not even
Also,
that bad.
Hugh Jackman like runs into Sigourney Weaver's office, and he's like, "We found a robot that has sentience. Like he knows how to make robots have sentience." And then Sigourney Weaver's like, "Oh, that thing that every villain is always trying to get robots to do. Wow, go kill that robot." I
Yeah.
guess it's like, what did you want to study it? I guess like maybe see if we could save it.
If
Yeah.
Not
anything,
kill the shit out
it's
of it,
almost
yeah.
funny because this movie was made in what, like 2015. It's like
2015.
God, now like all the AI shit is just like crypto guys trying to like make money off like, what if you made a
Yeah.
movie with AI? And it's like
Right.
this
right.
movie doesn't even consider that. In a way, it's almost like a different timeline of like, things could have been better with AI.
Yeah.
had
When we didn't
brutal
think AI would
police
go so
robots.
corporate so fast.
Yeah.
And I think like it's just fun the way that Blomkamp is just kind of not afraid to have unlikable characters like have to earn
Yeah.
their place. You know, I think in this one, like in District 9, I remember like I wanted to walk out of that movie because of how much I hated the main character.
Oh, Wickus, yeah.
Yeah, Wickus.
Vicus
and, like,
Vendemia.
Yeah.
and as it kept going, I was like, "Holy shit! I really want this guy to win."
Yeah,
Dude,
Like he
he's
won
so
me
nice,
over. Like
so
he
good.
earned that ending. You know.
Yeah.
And
That's
I
like,
feel
probably
like-
one of the best movies of the 2000s.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Oh, yeah.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
And I feel like this movie almost gets there with Ninja, but it never really hits the final part. So you just really
Mhm.
don't like Ninja.
Yeah, and then,
Yeah, I
like
think
you
this
find
movie-
out he's also like probably a bad guy in real life. It's like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
so
Right,
it shows on
yeah.
screen, you know.
I feel like this movie had like a lot to say, and it didn't like quite nothing. It didn't quite congeal as well as like District 9 did, which is kind of
Yeah.
unfair. But like, it was a little bloated. They had a few too many ideas going on that nothing was like totally satisfyingly ended, I guess.
Right.
But there is enough there to like think about. Like, there's like a lot of like fun
Yeah.
stuff to watch, and like the whole thing about like how he doesn't like learn the lesson about dying. Like, I get he's a fucking robot. Like, of course he doesn't have to learn
Yeah.
that lesson. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't really think about it that way until you guys mentioned that.
Mhm.
But like, of course, that's way better than having a body. Like, why would he want
Right.
to go into a shitty body? Like, that's insane. Like, and he would want to save his friends and family the only way he knows, which is to
Right,
destroy their
right.
brains. Makes so much sense.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I
But it's like
think
it's very
It's like
like
this.
build that up that
Go
well,
ahead,
but
yeah.
it works in a weird way. I don't know. I don't think that the things I think that it didn't land because things weren't really led up to, talked about. They didn't have like little scenes where, I don't know, like why is Yolanda not that worried about the heist coming up? Like why is she so worried
Right.
about like him being a kid? Like why aren't they working together, Ninja and Yoli, as much? Like there were just things that were kind of like left unspoken. But I think that
Mhm.
overall it's a good package. But I think that's why it didn't do so well, is because people were probably like, "What?" Like I think it's
It's
Yeah,
definitely
unless
too
you like it a lot.
complicated,
like
so
District 9's
yeah.
so tightly plotted, and this is almost like the
Yeah.
opposite, where it's like, oh,
Mhm.
the cool sci-fi stuff's there, but it's not like working together. It's just kind of thrown at you.
Yeah.
And to me, I actually
Right.
like kind of respect that he's like, fuck it, just put everything cool I
Yeah.
like in there, even if it doesn't like
Yeah.
Right.
fit, you know?
See, and I
Yeah.
think it's good because, it's kind of like it would be almost a good double feature with A Boy and His Dog, because it's two movies
Oh
where,
yeah, where they're repugnant protagonists.
well, not just that, but it's like you wouldn't, like, even if you read about this in the news, you'd be like, that's fucking disgusting. Like, it's so
Yeah.
bad. But like in these ones, because it's like you're never gonna get a movie, or you're never gonna like see a real story where the ending of the story is that it sucks that you gotta die. you know, like,
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's
Totally.
like,
and
and,
death is such a touchy subject already, and like it's almost throwing it in your face, and it's, I don't know, it's just daring.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
like, and it's almost
definitely.
like you wouldn't see like a movie about like robot cops like fighting criminals and stuff. That's like hard R, that like
Right.
has a message that
Mhm.
like, hey, the criminals aren't that bad, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, it's very like, oh, I don't think they would, like, they're not going to give him money to do it again because he's making like
Yeah.
Gran Turismo shit. But it's like, I don't think they're going to give anyone money to like do that, you know,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
to like
Yeah.
make that
And
movie.
it is that kind of thing where I almost feel like it's an overcorrection, because, like I said, I saw Elysium, and Elysium's not bad, but it kind of feels like the Hollywood version of District 9. Like, a lot of the politics has been taken out, and it's been watered down, so it's just
Mhm.
not as
Totally.
good. And I feel like Chappie is almost him. Like, he realized that he did that, and so he's over going, like, it's like,
Yeah.
this is gonna 100% be mine, which is
Totally.
cool and it's good, but it's also like, if someone told me they didn't like Chappie, I'd be like, yeah, I get it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like
I
watching it again, I was
understand,
like,
yeah. I actually
yeah, this
almost
movie
watched
failed
Elysium
for
before
sure.
this to like compare and contrast, but I was
I
like,
don't know how this
eh,
even got made.
eh, yeah.
You did what?
Oh, I said I almost watched Elysium like before this, and I was like,
Oh.
no one's ever like
Yeah.
said it's
Yeah.
great, you know.
It's okay.
Everyone
It's like
just
says
I
it's
would say
okay.
watch it. Yeah, maybe like take an edible and watch it or something. Or maybe watch it before you go to sleep. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you watch movies going to sleep? That'd be
Sometimes.
because you might stay up and watch it. You also have the option just to close your eyes.
Yeah.
Fair
Either way,
enough.
it's an okay movie.
I can
Yeah,
say
this is
my wife hates this movie and would not rewatch it with me. I love it personally. Chappie, yeah. She also
Yeah.
she's seen Elysium, says it's okay. So
Also, there's like parts
It's
Yeah.
the most
where
okay movie ever made.
right.
there's parts where they're just listening to their music and they're saying their names, which is their names. in the
Dude,
It's
universe,
literally
but
It's
they're
fucking
not rappers.
insane. It's
during the
insane.
scene, during the scene where they're stealing
Unprecedented.
cars, D. Antwoord has a song. There's a line in the song like, Neil Blomkamp's making me a movie star. It's just like, wait,
Jesus
that's in the
Christ.
movie?
Yo, Neil, check it out. I got this cool lyric. I want you to put it in the car heist.
Yeah. And I was like,
Oh,
God,
car
what a
heist, okay.
meta ass thing to put in.
I
I
know.
know.
It's how they got
And
to be where they are today.
And it's kind of disappointing. Like, I get it. There's some directors that you see their movies and you're like, why isn't Sam Raimi being given whatever budget he wants?
Mm-hmm.
I kind of understand why studios stopped giving Neil Blomkamp
Yeah,
budgets.
that's
Absolutely,
I get,
100%.
but I'm glad
I
they
I would
did
not
it
trust that guy.
one last
Yeah,
time.
I wish they would. I wish they would give him one last shot.
Yeah,
Because he just
they might.
he does a lot of crazy things that are good.
Mm-hmm.
Like the unlikable character that you still kind of root for, the way he makes like ugly things relatable. It's just
Yeah.
like nobody can do that.
I like harsh
You
shit
think
exes.
about. I remember Avatar was going up against District 9 in the Oscars, and it was this thing where James Cameron was like, "Oh, I gave him like cat eyes and like kind of like the cat features because that's less that's more human like, so that the audience could like relate to the characters
Mm-hmm.
easier, even though they're aliens." And Neil Blomkamp almost like forces you to like the characters because like
Like
the
how
aliens
disgusting they look.
in
Yeah.
District
Yeah.
I mean, you
9 are
have to
so
admit they look
gross, you
like
know?
prawns.
They look like
Yeah, they
prawns.
do look like
Christopher
prawns.
Johnson. Was that his name?
It
Yeah,
was
they look like
CJ,
the
aka JC, because he was the Christ
um,
figure of the film.
Yeah.
and like even Chappie, Chappie's not doing good things. So
He
like,
looks like a prawn too. He looks like an alien
yeah,
from
he
District
kinda
9.
looks like a pro.
But with like
And
his
so
little
like,
his little cute ears. His little ears are like
Yeah,
what made
it's
him
like
more
radio
Wally like
antenna.
yeah,
than
You know
RoboCop.
what's a minor thing in the movie, but it did bug me to think about? Everyone keeps calling like Chappie and the other police robots droids. And I was like,
yeah,
okay, is this just like a
Oh.
pop cultural thing? Because obviously in this world, people know what Star Wars is in real life and in Chappie, so they call them droids. Or do South Africans just call robots droids already as slang, and that's just a thing we don't know about here in America? You know what I mean?
right.
Yeah. Good cue.
Josh. So for this part, do you want me to cut it out, or do you want me to
that's
just
an
put
that's an
like the
interesting
nerds?
idea.
Do you want me to put the
You
nerds
could,
from The Simpsons over this part?
if
Right.
So
any
then,
of the
like, we
2,000
can't.
people subscribed are South African,
Let
please
us
tell
know.
us in the comments if people say droids in South Africa.
Damn.
And I'm sorry for doing your accent. It was out of love, not because it's
Yeah,
you
we
know.
That's one
I
of the
wish
only
I
accents
wish I
you
had
could
your
do, not
accent.
racistly, because their
Yeah.
accent's a white person thing, and it's so ridiculous. So.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just sounds Australian with a little
Get
more.
some brooms. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Chappie, it's a good. Sometimes you want to see them swing, even if they miss.
I know.
Yeah,
And
no,
someone else who liked this movie a lot was my mom.
really.
Ooh, interesting.
She works for it's called CASA, which is a court appointed special advocate. So she essentially just like talks to like kids who are from like fucked up homes and like works with them like on their court cases and like gets information for lawyers. Anyway, she deals with a lot of like kids that are from messed up situations. And I talked to her about this movie and she was just like, yeah, that's pretty much exactly what like development is like whenever you're in like an unstable home. And it's like
Right.
you have all these different influences like coming at you. Like you might have a teacher or like another adult in your life that's like Dev, who's like, you should read books and be good.
Yeah.
And then you have someone like Ninja who's like, dude, you're so fucking uncool and I'm gonna be fucking toxic as hell to
Right,
you
I'm
and
gonna
make you into a man or
puffing you
whatever.
up, yeah.
Yeah. And then you have Yoli, who's like the mom figure who's like love. And it's like all these different people want different things for this child and they don't know what they're supposed to do. So they just kind of like freak out. And that's kind of what happens in Chappie. And so after when I talked to my mom about that, I was just like, wow, that's really great. Like that's like I've never forgotten that. Even though I know like I've never rewatched Chappie, I was like
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah,
excited
no,
to rewatch it this time. So I was like, that's like
that's-
they must have like studied like child development a lot for this movie or something. Because
Yeah.
like that's like that I feel like that's like what the meat is. Like that's
the core
what I'm
conceit
trying to
is
say.
Chappie.
It's
Yeah,
like the whole deal.
himself,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's why this movie succeeds because like that part was great. Like his development was like so tragic, yet also like not in a way at the end, but
Right,
I don't know,
like,
just
it
like
works
seeing
out
that is like so
perfectly
interesting.
for him.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what? One little detail too I liked when they're kind of like bringing him up, like because they want to teach him to be gangster, so they give him like chains and stuff. He starts
Mhm.
doing America's like coke sniff, so he does like a fake
Yeah.
coke sniff.
Oh yeah,
And he just does it
yeah.
the rest of the movie, and I was like,
He's
what
like,
a
Yeah.
nice
"Shut up, I'm
little
trying to be cool."
detail.
Yeah, and the way he like leans against the wall, he like has like his legs.
Yeah.
Up, he's like,
Yeah.
it's just perfect.
Because he just thinks America does that to be cool, not realizing. It's...
Yeah,
Right. He doesn't realize what anything is. Yeah.
right.
It's a good movie.
What a
It's a
what a
good movie,
fun,
man.
detail-filled film.
truly,
Yeah.
definitely worth the watch, even if there are problems.
You do have
Yeah.
to rent it.
If you
That's
watch
the
this
part.
movie, let us know what you thought of it, because I'm interested to see what like if someone like I don't know. It's weird. I want to hear like if someone really didn't like it, like why, like
Right.
what was the tipping point where you went from like, this isn't for me to like, oh no, this is bad and I don't like it.
Right.
Yeah.
I saw I read on Wikipedia that a lot of people were comparing Chappie to like Jar Jar Binks. So like I thought that maybe people just hated
maybe
the
they thought
character.
No,
but
that's
yeah,
crazy.
He's like not that hateable. He's like
Yeah.
fine.
No, he's like
Yeah.
he can't like George Beeks is
I
an
can see
adult.
people like
Yeah.
I could see people like not being able to stand Ninja, but like Chappie
Yeah.
himself.
Yeah, I do understand why people will be like, oh, I hate the N word. I'm like, I get it. They're
Right,
kind of
okay,
repugnant
yeah.
and they're kind of,
Yeah.
They look
you really
weird,
can't
yeah.
get
Mhm.
around
But
that.
that's the message, guys. You missed it if you think that.
Mhm.
No, I'm just scolding people who didn't like the movie.
Yeah,
But
reconsider it.
yeah. So thank you for joining us on this episode of the Bomb Squad. We come back next week. We're gonna watch one of my favorite movies of all time. This movie is like 3 hours long, and when I watched it the first time I watched it at night. It was like 7 o'clock, and it ended at like 10:30 because it's fucking long as shit. And as soon as it ended, I called Josh and I was like, "Josh, come over. You need to watch this fucking movie." And then we watched it again. It was like 3 hours long, so we didn't go to bed till like 3 in the morning.
I think I know what movie
Yes.
this is, and I'm
Yeah.
interested to revisit
Going
it.
to
Let's
be a
say
good
that.
time.
My wife is going to be pretty upset if it's the movie I'm thinking of, because she's
Does she
never
hate it
seen it,
too?
so she has to
Oh.
watch it. But I
Wow.
know she's going to be a hater. So
Yeah,
I mean, it's a wild ride.
it's
yeah,
a fun
Next
time.
episode.
we are
is a wild
talking
ride.
about Lawrence of Arabia, of course. It's
Yeah.
No, we're talking about
Hard, iconic.
Super Mario Brothers,
Mhm.
the movie.
Dennis
Oh,
Hopper.
we did. I forgot that there
You've
was
already
another one
done,
we
yeah,
already did.
Mario, the Dennis Hopper one. I don't know if you were there for that, William, but
I was not.
It's
I used to watch that movie all the time as a kid. That was one of my main
Damn.
VHSs for sure.
I know it's so original.
strangely
We talked
sexual
about it.
film. Anyway,
But
go watch that
we'll
episode.
see you guys next week on the Bomb Squad.